Hello, friends. Stephen Manning here from the Integrity Ireland Association. We have a straightforward video for you today, guys. I'm simply going to read out a public letter which is being dispatched to Judge James O'Donoghue, Circuit Court Judge, in respect of the fact that he held me unlawfully June. I know a few of you have been waiting for the follow-up to our judge hunting part 1. I think this will be a short series. It would just be part 1 and part 2, but it looks like now we're going to have 3 or 4. Now, the main reason for this, guys, is because we've written a letter to Judge James O'Donoghue, and if you bear with me here, guys, I'm going to just have a look at the next slide to see. No, not yet, guys. Okay, but we had we've written this public letter. Complaints have gone in about his behavior in Clifton Courthouse, but would you believe it, guys, and we'll cover this in more detail in part 3 or part 4, whatever. We'll bring up the legislation. When you make a complaint to the newly formed Judicial Conduct Committee, believe it or not, they've got clauses in there that make it a criminal offence for you to discuss the detail of the complaint you've made against a judge, while they, of course, go ahead and cover it up under the guise of accountability. So you'll see the subheading here today is exposure and accountability. What I'm trying to do is to demonstrate to those of you who are willing to hear what we have to say, how you hold errant or criminal or corrupt judges to account, because there is no practical or tangible or realistic way of doing it through the system. The very worst that's going to happen to them is they get a borderline reprimand or some such, and then it's all kept in secret. Again, we'll cover the detail of that later. But the first thing I'd like to do, guys, and I'll bring up the larger slides when necessary. You can see, right, guys, I'll try and make this a little larger for you. Yes. We already did this last week when the letter was composed, and we read it out on Facebook Live, and about 60 or so people tuned in to see it. So those of you that did see it, it was unannounced, so I'm not surprised, but also our numbers are being suppressed. But as you can see down here in the bottom left, guys, and excuse the chunky glasses, there you see Judge Hunting Part 2, right? That was put out last week, but for some reason, even though it was a live stream and it was viewed by at least 60 people as I did it, it was about 18 minutes altogether. You can see there, bottom left, something isn't working. This may be because of a technical error. We're working to fix it. That's Facebook telling us that the video, and it did not, and it has not shown up, guys. Now we're coming on for a week later, and the video has not being released up onto my platform. Now, I find this highly suspicious, but in the current circumstances where censorship has just gone haywire and crazy, I suppose it should be accepted. There are more sinister things happening as well. We may or may not get to those today. But anyway, let's move ahead now. The slide number 3. This is James O'Donoghue, Circuit Court Judge. He is the most senior judge in the Circuit Court, the president. Now, I'm putting this up here. You'll see why. I'm making no bones about it. The whole reason we're doing this is to expose, because publicity is the soul of justice. They try to keep everything secret, locked down, suppressed, under wraps. We expose them. Now, here is a headline from, I think it was the Sunday Times at the time. This is going back about 10 years. This was not the photograph that was used at the time. It's actually quite a flattering image of this man. I'd say he's about 10 years older than that image there. But you can see the headline. This judge, right, whilst the judge of the Circuit Court got stopped by the guards for suspected drink driving, and he was asked to give a breath test, he refused to do so. Now, bear in mind, guys, this is a Circuit Court judge, right? Now, this happened about 10 years ago on this particular occasion. Kudos to the guard involved. I think it's a guard, Dean Landers, I think his name is. We'll get to that in a second. He had the courage to go ahead and prosecute And in a courtroom where there were no reporters present, you'll see here, guys, that's the text from the article. No reporters present whatsoever. Isn't that interesting? That's another segment of the article which I haven't included. But isn't it interesting that it was Garda Dean Landers who made the, well, not the arrest, but he charged him with failing to provide a breath test. And to this date, Garda Dean Landers is still a Garda. Somehow, Circuit Court Judge James O'Donoghue has managed to be elevated to the second highest position in the Circuit Court. Wouldn't you know it? So let's move forwards, guys, to the next one. There's only about 10 slides today. Okay, so why are we just reading this letter out today? Well, the reason is this is my colleague Stephen Kerr here on the left with the Irish Inquiry. Always worth a visit, guys. Stephen won the Man of the Year award in the pro-justice community last year for his brave and courageous work exposing the rot in the system. That's myself and my bodyguard there, Danny. They're just two snapshots of videos. Interestingly, when I put in a search, now I'm not going to put this up here today, guys, because it is shocking and arguably very sinister. But when I put in a search, Stephen Manning jailed, I got up results that linked me into another person's conviction, nothing to do with me whatsoever, the worst sort of conviction that you can possibly have. You know what we're talking about, guys. Yes, offenses against children and all that sort of stuff. And somehow this so-called artificial intelligence has popped up my name in connection. You know, I'm convicted in Clifton Court, and then the following sentence says that it was sexual offenses against children and all the rest of it. This is incredible, guys. Of course, I have to suspect that this is more than a mere coincidence when things like this happen, especially in light of the fact, and I'll only brush on this now, guys, but there might be another whole video to come out on this, but I've been helping a friend of mine, a dear friend, an older man in the UK who's having difficulties with an establishment institution over there. We've already gone through members of parliament and the like, the same model, the same tactics of operation, guys. Ignore, stonewall, gaslight, defer, refuse to deal with the matter. Everybody hides from accountability in order to protect the system and the toadies and lackeys that serve it, I'm sorry to say. But watch this space, because if we don't get a result, we'll be covering that story as well. And there's another absolutely shocking story that reinforces the fact that the authorities simply are not to be trusted. And if at this point you still do trust the authorities, you seriously need to go and get your head examined. Excuse me, sounding a bit rude there, guys. But if you still trust the authorities after everything that we've been through the last few years and what they're still trying to do to us, there's seriously something wrong with your mental attitude, your perception. Or as we covered in a previous post, ironically and surprisingly, it is the most qualified, well-qualified people that seem to be the most stubborn ones to shift in their perception, because they've invested so much in the system themselves, they don't want to countenance the possibility that it is utterly and demonically corrupt. But anyway, to go back to the slide, I'll make it a little bit bigger here again, guys, see if it'll come a bit bigger. You'll notice there at the bottom, I want people to pay attention to this, because it's something that I'm not very well known for this, guys. But long before I got involved with the pro-justice community, I was invested in studies in psychology and theology, world religions, mythology, that sort of stuff. And I made some discoveries way back then, and this is going back more than 25 years. I made some discoveries which are very, very pertinent to what we're all going through. And as you can see in the book, top right, Crisis, Cullen Coup, we touch on some of these issues, and particularly the importance of symbolism. It's particular symbolism. You need to know what you're looking for, but if you know what you're looking for, and when these symbols and numbers and confluence of events and so on, when they keep appearing, colors and stuff, it's well worth noticing something may be going on. And it's worth making a point there. You can see at the bottom of this slide, I was actually only inside incarcerated for 18 hours, to my great surprise, and with thanks and gratitude to the sensible authorities up there at the prison. But interestingly, I then had to sign on at Garda Station every day from June the 28th until September the 2nd, which very interestingly is exactly 66 days. I'm not going to go into that now, guys. Maybe people will just twig and just go, oh my goodness, yeah, there's that number again, the beast and all that sort of stuff going on. So here we go then, guys. This is the letter that I wrote to James O'Donoghue. I'm just going to read it out as it says to you guys, and you'll see how we hold these criminal miscreants in the pay of the state to account for what they're doing. It starts with publicity, friends. Mr. O'Donoghue, James, in light of your recent performance in Clifton Courthouse, where you trashed any notion of legality, ethical integrity, or judicial propriety, you will, of course, forgive the absence of fatuous honorifics. In other words, pointless genuflecting and deferments to people who insist that we call them Your Majesty, Your Highness, Your Honor, this, that, and the other. No, you earn my respect, Mr. O'Donoghue, or else, you know. Anyway, this public notice, and I make a point here, guys, this is a public notice wherein I can't actually discuss the details of the case, because if I do, I can fall subject, believe it or not, to the criminal clauses in the complaints against the judiciary. Believe it or not, you can make a complaint about something that this man has done in a public courtroom, right? Bear in mind, okay, in a public courtroom, he's done this, he's committed these criminal offenses in a public courtroom, and you're allowed to make a complaint now to the Judicial Conduct Committee, but if you do so, you're bound by clauses in that legislation that says you are not allowed to talk about the detail. And this is where I'm circumventing that that clause by not discussing the detail, but just talking in general terms about what this scoundrel and scallywag actually did on the day. This public notice is to advise you of the following. 7 points, guys. Point 1, a criminal complaint has been registered within Garda Síochána, listing a number of offences and alleged offences committed by you in Clifton on June the 27th and 28th last. 2, a formal complaint has also been registered with the Judicial Conduct Committee along the same lines. 3, common informer prosecutions are likewise being prepared, where we intend to apply the law and personally prosecute you as the name accused in public court. You are further being held for the unlawful seizure and removal of my vehicle from Clifton and for the damage process. Without going into unnecessary detail, guys, we do know it was someone from the court that ordered the vehicle seized and taken away unlawfully. It was broken into, criminal damage. The insurance disc was removed, which thereby in turn gives the Gardaí justification to remove it, and so on and so forth. Then the court service staff lied to us in various emails and recorded conversations about what did and didn't happen. So we've concluded that it was James O'Donoghue, logically. He's the only person left that could have ordered the seizure of the vehicle, so he's been held responsible for it. Let him deny that he did it, otherwise we're going after him. Number 5, an Article 40.1 application is being made to the People's Tribunal of Ireland, you as the defendant in these matters, wherein you will be afforded the opportunity to defend yourself in person, that is, if you can mount any such defence. Point number 6. The resultant People's Tribunal of Ireland determination, which will be a sheet, will ground an application to the European Court of Human Rights, naming you, in collaboration with scores of your colleagues and other purported officers of the court, in a long-standing conspiracy to pervert justice, where we have proven that A, the Irish judiciary in general is irredeemably corrupt, B, that all domestic remedies have now been exhausted, and C, that there is in effect no rule of law nor any systemic adherence to the same in the Irish state. Now, a lot to encapsulate in that paragraph, guys. What I'm doing is telling him, you're not getting away with this scot-free, even though I personally have zero faith or confidence that any effort to hold these people to account through the system as it stands at the moment will be fruitful to the standards that we deserve, that is. You know, the best you can hope for is to annoy them, upset them, embarrass them, expose them like we're doing here. So we are going directly to the European Court of Human Rights with an application on the grounds that we've exhausted all domestic remedies multiple times. What do you do when the actual organisation, as we know it, experience, the Irish judiciary and the DPP's office and in Garda Síochána operate in effect, along with the politicians, as a criminal organisation. What do? You know? Number 7, despite their long-established reluctance to properly act in knowledge of criminal misconduct by state officials and office holders, this matter will nevertheless be referred to the respective statutory oversight bodies and to the houses of the Oireachtas, seeking your impeachment, Mr. O'Donoghue, on the grounds of gross criminal misconduct in office. So, then the tail end of the letter, guys. Notwithstanding the said scandalous, unlawful and arrogant behaviour in Clifton Courthouse, it needs to be pointed out in this open public letter that it remains a sad fact that the institution of the Irish judiciary, much like the political sphere, has clearly become top-heavy with an overabundance of clinical sociopaths who, because of their pitiful absence of conscience or morals, can only indulge their venal gratifications by visiting oppression, deceptions, tyranny, and injustice upon others. Raising awareness of the wretchedly appalling so-called professional standards of so many who hold the esteemed positions of judges in this state is but one of the ways that the ordinary public can begin to hold those who profit so immorally at the expense of the tax-paying public to some sort of account. The public is waking up to the great lie, Mr. O'Donoghue, and to the liars, predators, and parasites who cravenly profit from it. You and others like you would be wise to start taking note, because judgment is coming, if not via the mechanisms of the legal system, then at least by us courageously exposing the truth. You will find attached a bill of costs relating to the fees, expenses, and penalties incurred by myself and my family as a direct consequence of your criminal behaviour on June the 28th and 29th last. You would be advised to disperse the same without delay, James, and certainly in 30 days if you wish an additional personal damage in the domestic. Trusting the position is clear, please stand by for the service of legal papers. Now, I don't want this to go on too long here today, guys. Let's slide. Oh, yes. I'm referring you back now to the Integrity Ireland website if you want to hear more about these sort of things. That's now becoming a historical database of information for everybody and anybody who's tangled up, especially with the legal system in Ireland. Go in there and listen and read and watch the videos and educate yourself as to what you're actually dealing with, because my heart goes out, guys, to so many good and decent people in the various pro-justice groups around that are still hoping and praying and you know, expecting that you're actually going to get treated fairly by sociopaths and psychopaths and the toadies and lackeys that obsequiously serve them in reward for their proverbial 30 pieces of silver. Short one today, guys. We've got a lot more to come. I'm going to try and do a regular hour-long video on Sundays. We'll go back to there's the system we did before, S.O.S, Stephen on Sundays, okay? And so we'll look forward to that, guys, where we'll discuss current affairs. There's a lot going on, and the occasional cases like this. But for now, guys, I'll leave you, please, with this. If you wish to support us, guys, in what we're trying to do, the best tools we have available at the moment are accountability, exposure, and courageously standing up and taking your power back, guys. Take your power back from the people we're calling the diabolicals, okay? This is one way to do it. You have to have courage. You have to believe in yourself, and you have to believe in what is right. Don't let these people drag us into their personal hells. God bless you all, guys. Hope to see you all soon. And one by one together, as we say, one by one together, we can make a difference.